everyone. I'm Lisa Copeland, love coach and dating expert for women over 50. And I'm so excited to do today's video because I have a woman with me named Carol who is in my group and she is getting married in the fall. And I thought it would be really fun to share her journey with this. So, Carol, hi.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you again.
And good to see you again, too. So, Carol, you're getting married.
Yeah, shocking.
Did you think that would happen?
No, not at this point anyway, no.
Do you mind sharing with all of us your general age group so people know that it's possible?
Well, I don't mind telling you, I'll be 67 in August.
That's so great. So you're going to get married at 67. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. So you and I worked together for 6 months. And when you first came to me, where do you remember being on this journey of love?
I was totally frustrated, mostly with myself. I was dating the same guy over and over and over again for like 20 years and getting the same bad result. And I just told myself that it had to, I was serious. It has to stop now, Carol. So I, not knowing what to do, I had heard about your group, I think through an email.
Mhm.
And so decided to join up. I figured I couldn't do any worse than I was doing then.
Like, what do you think was the worst thing doing it by yourself?
I didn't, I had all these things that I believed that were, I guess you'd call them false beliefs.
Mhm.
Um, and there was nobody to tell me otherwise. And I really, I really wasn't around a lot of single women in my age. We had just come off the pandemic and I moved to a new town and didn't really know anybody. So it was just that isolation, I think, contributed to it. And and so I didn't have another perspective. I didn't
Yeah,
know anyone who was going through the same thing.
well, you're lucky because a lot of people that go or they do have friends that are dating, having terrible experiences because they don't know what to do. Just what happened with you when you were so frustrated, and then they pull you down. So it was kind of good that you sort of had a clean slate behind you. Nobody was in your ear going, "Oh,
Right.
you know, don't do it. It's not going to happen," because it can happen. So
Oh,
you
I don't think, yeah, I
go
really
ahead.
believed it at first myself. No, I really didn't know if it could happen or not, but I was willing to try and give it my all.
So you came in the group, and what'd you find the best tool was for you for finding your guy?
I think the first best tool is really your list of, I don't want to say requirements. I can't remember what you called them.
Oh, the quality man
Yeah,
template.
quality man tablet. Thank you. Sorry, it's been a year, so I don't remember all the words, but that was probably number one. And then I think you did a thing with flirting and being able to talk to men. And I'm an introvert, so I was never good at that. So those were the two biggest things for me personally.
So the quality man template, it helps you figure out who that guy was that you were dating over and over again, just in different clothes. And were you surprised when this guy showed up? Like, were you attracted to him at first?
No, absolutely not.
And you're marrying him. I love this. I love this.
He got a lot cuter as I got to know him.
Very good.
But really, my sister had convinced me to go on a website, and I said, "Well, I think that's the worst one ever." But I said, "Okay, just to please you, my sister, I will do it." And this guy wrote to me almost immediately, like the next day, and he really, I didn't care for the way he looked. He had a couple actually deal breakers that come to find out later really were not deal breakers. He hadn't elaborated enough in his profile for me to know that though. But I didn't care because all I wanted to do was get out of the house and practice all my, the way I talk to men, the eye contact, all those things. I just wanted to practice what I had learned. It was my main reason for going out. And I was just going to go out with as many guys as I could and get as much practice in as possible. And then maybe I thought, well, next year, a couple of years, maybe I'll get serious about
it. So you went on a first date.
Mm-hmm.
And how did he get that second date? What in you got touched that he got that second date?
He was he's a smart guy, and so he could carry on a real intelligent conversation, and had a lot of life experience and had traveled a lot. So really, it was so nice to talk to someone, because I moved here alone. I don't have any family anywhere near me. So nice to talk to somebody that I could relate to. So I think that was what kept me going.
And how did he hold up to this new vision of who you wanted in your quality man template?
He was everything except, he said his daughter lived with him, and he said he was a Buddhist. And I really didn't want to be involved with either of those things, but his daughter was just living with him temporarily. She had just gotten divorced, and she's not there anymore. So, and then Buddhist, come to find out, he really was a Christian, and Zen Buddhist is the way he relaxes and he meditates. It does nothing to do with this religion. But of course, you can't say all that in the profile. So once I figured all that out, I got a lot better about it. Yeah.
So that's really good, because what happens so many times when women read profiles, they get triggered by words in them. And then when you get triggered by the word, you start telling a story about who he is, which isn't even true. And we can end up knocking them out. And thank goodness you were going to just practice with him.
Yeah. I didn't care. I was just going out just to go out. He could show me around the city, and we went a lot of different places, and just slowly got to know him.
So how long did it take for you to decide this guy fits my quality man template? He's really a guy I've been looking for.
I think after a couple months, he asked me where this relationship was going. He had never kissed me or anything. And I said, I really didn't want to talk about that, because I wanted to keep seeing him, because I was having a good time. But I really didn't think that I didn't still see him as a potential mate, certainly. And then he waited another month, and he said, we're going to have to talk about that sometime. And I said, well, what do you want to do? I don't know what I want to do. He said, well, you're just going to have to decide. And after 3 months, he kissed me for the first time. And I looked at him one day, and he got real cute all of a sudden.
That can happen. Yeah. So many women try and go on that first date, and they're looking for the feeling in their body of attraction and chemistry, which is hormones. And I always say, go into your body and look for how you actually feel around the guy. Do you feel safe? Does it feel just nice? Those are way more important beginning things than looking for chemistry. But I love how you really actually got to know each other, before it went anywhere. And that's so good.
Yeah, it's I've never been able to do that in my life. So
what did you do in the past before taking this class?
I tried to go out with men that I thought would be a good fit, but that I really wasn't attracted to, or couldn't really communicate with very well. And I tried so hard to like them, and I just couldn't. It just wasn't. I just had no chemistry at all. So generally, I just went by chemistry and how they made me feel. So,
or hormonally, how they made you feel.
Yes, exactly.
And this guy was a dud. When you first met.
He was a dud. He hardly ever talked. I would ask him questions. He would give me one-word answers. And it just took him a long time to open up. I think he had to trust me as much as I had to trust him. And it just took that time. but when it came to talking about himself, he really didn't do much of that at first.
So when you were going out with him as friends, were you dating other men too?
I think I had one other date, but I was still working full time. And I was going out with him once or twice a week.
Mm.
So it was really filling up most of my time. And it just gets too, for me personally, I can't date two or three or four guys at the same time. I'm just not like that. I don't have the bandwidth for that. I'll say it that way. And I was working 50, 60 hours a week. So, you know, there wasn't a lot of time. So he was the only one.
And that was kind of good because you, like you said, you got to know him. Do you mind sharing which site you were on, for which site you went on?
Um, Gosh, I can't think of the name of it. eHarmony. eHarmony.
Harmony. Yeah, it can be tough, but hey,
Yeah.
you found your guy on it, so you never know.
Yeah, that's true. You never know.
So the relationship is good now. Things are really good.
Oh yeah, yeah. My lease was almost up where I was living, and he said, well, I guess we ought to talk about moving in together because we were together all the time. And I said, yeah, okay. And then we started to talk about how we were going to do that because his house wasn't real big, and it was a house he shared with his deceased wife, who he had been married to for 39 years. So in the end, I think he kind of wanted to get away from that life, and start a new life. So we ended up buying a different house together, and moving in together. And I said, this is the practical me. People think I'm terrible, but I said, I'm really not interested in owning property with someone I'm not married to. I said, I just financially, I just don't think it's a good idea. And yes, my financial planner was much relieved when I told him we were getting married. But yeah, so it wasn't roses and cookies and rainbows and balloons and hearts. It was, I definitely knew I loved him. I definitely knew I wanted to be with him, but it was so more sort of for us a practical, we're both pretty practical. So it was more of a practical decision to get married. I think I would have been okay living together. But when it came to owning property, I really didn't want to do that. So
So if you were telling women about hiring a coach, what would you say was the best thing when you ended up hiring me as your coach overall?
I think it was the depth of your experience and your ability to relate all the common things that are in women's heads, that aren't really correct. And we don't get the chance to see outside of ourselves and see what we're doing sometimes. It took me a long time to figure out what I was doing wrong, so to speak. So I think it was your depth of experience. And then when I tried the first couple things that you had recommended, they actually worked, which wasn't really sure it was going to work, but it did. So I was glad.
I love that you tried things. Like, so many people are afraid to try. And I love that you tried. That's how you got this guy too. One, you take action, and two, you move forward. And number one really should have been tried, take action, and keep going. And that says a lot about you. And I find that clients are the most successful. They do take action. Like, you took what you learned and you applied it. And you came on office hours, or you asked questions. And that's a big thing too, because I know I use coaches in my life. You don't know what you don't know. And we don't know what we're doing wrong sometimes or what we're doing right.
Yeah.
So I just, so much kudos to you. So you're
Thank you.
planning a wedding, you all excited? Are you going to wear a white
Yeah.
dress to walk down the aisle?
I think I'm too old for a white dress, but but I have a gold dress. Yeah, and we're getting married in a big park here, under a tree that's 400 or 500 years old, and it's called the Tree of Life. And a lot of people get married under that tree. And it'll just be it's an elopement type of thing. there's 20 guests. And one of my best friends from a place I lived previously is going to come down and walk me down the aisle. He's a man. And so it's going to be real simple and real short, but then we'll have a party. So I am excited. I'm excited for my family to be here and be able to be with me during that time.
I'm so excited for you. So I really, really am. I think it's like when you wrote and said to me, "Oh my God, I'm getting married." I was like, "Oh my God." I was like just jumping for you because it just makes me so happy when, it just makes me so happy to hear when someone is in a relationship, when they have just a boyfriend, or they start to live together, or they're getting married. It's like, yes, 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 it works. It all
Yeah,
works.
it
You have to
does.
work it. As you know, you have to work it.
Yeah, you can't be afraid because like I said, I'm an introvert, and even looking men in the eye was difficult for me. So I was going down the street looking men in the eye and smiling. That was like step number one.
That's what I told you to do. Make eye
Hard.
contact.
It was so hard, but then it got easier. And then I realized that if they didn't smile back, it wasn't that I was not a good enough person or I wasn't pretty enough or whatever. It was that they probably had something else on their mind. Maybe they were coming out of the gym. You don't know what's going on with the other person. So, and I always blamed everything on myself. So I must have done something wrong.
And that's the story that we tell ourselves. All right.
Yeah.
So if you could tell someone listening to this who either hasn't started dating or struggling like you were, what piece of advice would you give them?
I would really stop and take some deep breaths and really inventory yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and see what it is that you think and you believe that might not really be true. I mean, I was one of those that I didn't believe there was any good single men left. And then after I started your program, they were everywhere. They were on every corner in the middle of the block. I couldn't believe it. But anyway,
That's really good. That's a very common belief. No, everybody's taken.
yeah, yeah.
Ah.
And then just follow the process. I think they need to trust in your process. Obviously, it's proven to work. And there's a lot of different reasons sometimes why it doesn't work. And that sometimes, at least for me, I found I stand in my own way sometimes. So I think you need to just trust the process and just grit your teeth and do it.
I hope you had fun with some of that teeth gritting.
I did, believe me. Wasn't it?
Ah, Carol, so happy for you. And for everyone watching this, I hope you get inspired by this, that you can find love in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's about, I would say, consistency and persistence. You have to consistently
Mhm.
try and be persistent about it. And if you find that you love this story and you're ready to take a step like Carol did, then we're going to leave some resources down below along with the link. If you think, oh my gosh, I really want to talk to you and see what I can do. That's to me. I really want to see, what I can have happen in my life. I'm here to support you. So, Carol, so many hugs to you. It was so
Thank
wonderful
you so
seeing you
much.
again. And for everyone else, you've got this, believing in you. Until next time, bye.